Can you believe it? Episode 187 of Wassup Flobo. You know, the fireside chat. We sit and talk about things that are going on in my life, things going on in your lives as well. And for some reason, it's a little show that could. So I appreciate everyone who watches this episode or the other episodes. And I gotta say real quick, I make fun, I poke fun, and I say I do the show for my mom. I do, I legitimately do, because frankly, she loves the show. That's why I do it. But I understand and I acknowledge others who watch the show as well. That's why the videos are public. I know people get kind of salty, and I'm like, no one watches this. I don't mean that. I was being facetious. Facetious? Whatever. That's the word. Vocabulary. So anyway, 187 episodes. Rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for helping out. And you can support the show in a multitude of ways. You know, if you're like, man, I don't want to buy a t-shirt, or I don't want to be a Patreon subscriber, a one-time donation in that tip jar will be greatly appreciated. Link below. buymeacoffee.com/me/FloboBoy, so you can help me out by buying me a coffee. But if you want to do that, if you want to get that drip, make sure you hit up flowbeto.threadless.com. That's flowbeto.threadless.com. So it's Wednesday morning by the time you'll see this episode, and well, Monday was interesting because Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger all went down for it seemed to be 8 hours. And it was, depending on who you are, one of the most devastating things ever. Or, I didn't really notice. I was kind of in the middle. You see, look, I usually spend a lot of my downtime on Instagram, a lot of my downtime on Facebook, and so not having any new content there was frustrating. But the thing that was frustrating for me the most was, at the time, this platform I used to record my videos, StreamYard, was connected to that grid or that part of the internet or whatever. So people can click on the show. This actually happened for two of my shows at the time, but I couldn't go live. You hit the record button and the thing would just circle and circle and circle. And if you started, you couldn't end it either. It was this weird alternate universe thing where you're like, you get the live stream forever. And a lot of it was kind of frustrating because you realize that what I do specifically, just so dependent on technology, right? When my internet was messing up over the summer, over the spring, I was losing my mind because I do everything on the internet. But think about this. I have a computer tower that's a year in. I have a webcam that's a year and a half in. I have these two monitors. I trust social media. And if one thing breaks down, instant butterfly effect, one thing just cascades to another. And thankfully, my guest on that show was super chill about it. It was really cool. It was Celeste McMillan. You're going to see her episode of New Amsterdam Radio in about 2 or 3 weeks. What I had to do was basically jump off StreamYard and use Zoom, which is an app I don't particularly care for a bunch of reasons. But it was a good thing I had a backup there. But yeah, you'll get to hear more about Celeste's story in New Amsterdam Radio in the coming weeks. A very, very talented individual. But I was kind of frustrated, man, because even though it's not your fault, it's your problem, which is something I learned when I was in film school. My editing teacher said, look, as an editor, you're the last stop. After people write the script and they shoot the script, as an editor, your job is to put it together. If things don't work, as an editor, it's not your fault, but it's your problem. And so I had to learn to get a little bit more gracious in the thanks for being patient with me. I'll get back to you, that sort of thing. But with everything coming back about 8 hours later, it did put things in perspective. I got to get a lot smarter about having backups or ulterior methods of doing things for this situation. There's one time I think even in the winter, where I had a guest on one of my shows and she couldn't run StreamYard for whatever reason. I still haven't figured out why. I didn't have a backup. We had to cancel the show. So I'm thinking now more than ever, I got to get smarter about giving myself plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds in case things like this go down. Maybe I should have a mobile studio. Maybe I should say, oh, let's meet in this park. I'll wheel out this cart of microphones and recording equipment so you can do shows out there. No idea. But that's what I've been working on so far about that. I feel like I'm like Tony Stark thinking about how can I expand or how can I change, how can I upgrade the stuff, how can I give myself those assurances to grow along with my career. Can't believe I'm saying that, career. But thinking about career, the next step is, and I tend to talk about this in the earlier episodes of Wassup Flobo, like 10 or 18 or 20, about collaboration. You know, we were deep in the pandemic when the show really broke into a stride, and I could say, hey, how cool is it to call up a friend? But now, what the world is more or less opening up, whether you think it's the right choice or not, it's not the place here to talk about that. But we're getting back into the normal life, and I have my pandemic life of content creation, my pre-pandemic life of going out there performing, and they're starting to overlap, and time is getting squeezed and all that. And I felt like for a long time I was a little more hesitant or less likely to collaborate with others. Not because I didn't want to work with them, but it was like, how does this person fit in my schedule? I got things to do. And a lot of opportunities that could have been on the table weren't, because I was just trying to get my life back in order. But I can tell you one thing now, more than ever, we got the restart now. We had the metaphorical car wreck on the racetrack. They had the safety lap, they cleared the debris, and now the race is back on. Why not team up with people you've met in the pandemic? Why not go to old collaborators, collaborators? Why not? Why not go back and say, hey, look, it's open now. Let's make it happen. And just so you guys know, with the release of Graduation Day last month, I am going to be on a future edition of the Pill series for JLJ Media, James Lott Jr. Media, JLJ Media, the Pill Part 8, whoever will be on sale this week. So I went from writing no books in 2021 to writing 2. Can you imagine that? That wouldn't have happened without reaching out to a friend and, in this specific case, misreading a text and somehow volunteering to write it, but more importantly, just hanging out with other creative people who are doing things and say, hey, look, how could we cross over? If it's me being on your show, you being on my show, let's combine and do something completely different. Like, let's say I'm a host of a podcast and you design, and I said, let's have a joint t-shirt, for example. That could be a whole different thing. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And so I really think that now when you're figuring out what you want to do if you're creative, or how do you jump off, or how do you start your YouTube channels, or how do you get your name out there, why not call those people you hit up during the pandemic? Why not even reach out to people that you thought you didn't have a chance to because they seem too famous for what you want to do? Now is the time. Make that happen. And I know I am not a motivational speaker. I'm not even a speaker. I just kind of say things out the side of my face, but that's what I feel. And if you got some things working on the pipeline, and let me know. And if you want to collaborate with your homie, also let me know. I mean, comments below, that's what they're here for. And I'll be back next week with another edition of Wassup Flobo. Episode 187 is this week, and we're rocking and rolling. I wonder how many episodes can we do? Is this going to be like the Joe Rogan Experience? Am I going to have like 1,800 episodes? Only time will tell. Well, do yourself a favor, be nice to your neighbor, call your mother, and donate to a charity. I'll see you next week.